Can artificial intelligence be moral? Can a machine distinguish right from wrong? And if not, what happens when we put it in charge? These are no longer questions for a distant future. These are the urgent dilemmas of our time. From courtroom sentencing software that helps decide who goes free, to predictive algorithms that decide which job applicants even get seen, to autonomous drones that can pull the trigger without a human command. AI is already reshaping the most intimate corners of our lives. It's no longer a tool in the background, it's the silent architect of modern experience. Artificial intelligence is embedded in our phones, our banks, our cars, our schools, even our justice systems. It sorts our resumes, it filters our information, it influences our choices, often without us even knowing. But with this power comes a deeper reckoning, a moral maze we are only beginning to map. Because every line of code reflects human values, human data, human judgment. And those judgments are often flawed. So we must ask, should a hiring algorithm prioritize speed over fairness? Can predictive policing ever be unbiased? Can predictive policing ever be unbiased? What happens when deepfake technology erodes the line between truth and fiction? Who's accountable when a machine makes a mistake? A life-altering, irreversible mistake. And what does it mean to be human in a world increasingly shaped by systems that aren't? This film is a journey into the ethical, social, political, and even spiritual implications of artificial intelligence. It's about the questions hiding behind the progress. It's about the code beneath the interface. It's about how power is being rewritten, not just by technology, but by those who control it. We'll travel across continents and contexts, from bustling tech hubs in Silicon Valley to the quiet villages impacted by automated agriculture. We'll meet researchers at MIT and Stanford pioneering ethical AI systems, ethicists in Berlin exploring machine consciousness, policymakers in Nairobi setting global digital rights standards, union leaders in Detroit fighting automation's toll on workers, artists in Seoul reimagining creativity in the age of code. Because this isn't just a tech story, it's a human story, one that affects you, your family, your job, your rights, and your future. Privacy today is being redefined, often without your knowledge, and almost always without your permission. We live in the age of surveillance capitalism, where artificial intelligence isn't just observing, it's anticipating, tracking, profiling, manipulating. From the moment you wake up and check your phone to your commute to the moment you fall asleep, your life generates data, metadata, biometric data, behavioral data, emotional signals, sleep patterns, geolocation, purchase history. AI algorithms parse this torrent of information to build a constantly evolving digital profile of you. Not the you that you show the world, but the version that algorithms believe you are and predict you'll become. Surveillance isn't just about seeing anymore. It's about knowing. In China, surveillance has reached new heights. Entire cities are saturated with facial recognition systems, heat mapping technologies, and AI-assisted monitoring platforms. These aren't just watching, they're judging. Social behavior is scored. Rewards and punishments are automated. Freedom becomes conditional. In the West, it looks different, but it's no less invasive. Predictive policing systems in the United States use historical crime data, often riddled with bias, to assign risk scores to neighborhoods and individuals. The result? Communities already over-policed become hyper-monitored, creating feedback loops of surveillance and suspicion. And it's not just the state. Employers are watching too. In warehouses, AI tracks every movement to calculate productivity. In offices, keystroke monitors and webcam AI observe who's working and who's not. Workers become data points. Efficiency becomes identity. Tech companies, many of which you use every day, harvest your data to fuel behavioral prediction engines. These engines don't just understand you, they influence you. Your social feed, curated to trigger specific emotions. Your shopping suggestions, optimized to exploit your weaknesses. Your news, filtered through invisible algorithmic priorities. It's not coincidence, it's computation. And here's the most disturbing part. You said yes, but did you really? In an age of deceptive UX design known as dark patterns, consent has become a performance. Cookie banners are deliberately confusing. Opt-out mechanisms are buried. Interfaces are designed to nudge you toward compliance. So we must ask, what is real consent when algorithms know more about you than you know about yourself? What is free will in a world where choices are shaped before you even realize they're being made? Resistance is growing. In Europe, the General Data Protection Regulation, GDPR set new standards for user rights, transparency, the right to be forgotten, data portability. In Brazil, LGPD is building local momentum for global privacy values. In India, a proposed data protection bill is sparking fierce national debate over biometric data, digital colonialism, and data sovereignty. These laws matter, but enforcement is inconsistent, and technology moves faster than policy ever will. The frontier of surveillance isn't just public, it's personal. Smart speakers that listen for your commands, but might also hear your arguments. Fridges that know your cravings before you do. Cameras that claim to detect fear, sadness, guilt, or anger. Used in airports, schools, even job interviews. AI is no longer just analyzing what you do. It's trying to decipher who you are. This is what makes AI surveillance so different, so insidious. It's invisible, it's predictive, and it's inescapable for most of us. Your online behavior becomes training data for someone else's profit. Your face becomes a data point for someone else's system. Your identity becomes currency. Traded, sold, and used against you in ways you may never fully know. We'll explore this in detail. The commodification of identity and how surveillance erodes the boundaries between consumer and product. The illusion of consent and why traditional legal frameworks are breaking down. The rise of digital colonialism, where wealthy countries harvest data from poorer nations. Turning populations into test subjects. The philosophical and political stakes. If everything we do is observed, optimized, and nudged, what happens to democracy? To dissent? To the very idea of selfhood? As we navigate these stories, one truth emerges. Privacy is not dead, but it's on life support. And AI may be the doctor or the executioner. The choice is still ours, but the window is closing. What kind of world do we want to live in? One where technology serves humanity, or one where technology serves humanity, or one where humanity is optimized out of the equation. Imagine a courtroom. A judge looks at a defendant's file, but instead of weighing the evidence, they consult an AI system that says, high risk of reoffending. The judge agrees. The defendant is denied bail. Now imagine that this risk score came from an algorithm trained on decades of data shaped by racially biased policing and unequal justice. What if the AI was wrong? Worse, what if it was biased from the start? This isn't a hypothetical. This is happening right now in multiple U.S. states. The software is called Compass. It's designed to predict the likelihood of a defendant reoffending. But a 2016 investigation by ProPublica found that Compass consistently overestimated risk for black defendants and underestimated risk for white ones, even when they committed similar error. It's an error. It's an error. It's not an error. It's not an error. It's an error. It's a mirror. It's a mirror. It's not an error. It's a mirror. It doesn't invent discrimination. It replicates and magnifies it. The same thing happened at Amazon. Their internal hiring algorithm, trained on past applicant data, started downgrading resumes that included the word women's, such as women's chess club or women's coding boot camp. Why? Because the historical data showed a pattern of hiring more men in technical roles. The AI interpreted this as a preference and replicated it. Amazon shut the system down. But the lesson was clear. Feed an AI a biased world, and it will recreate it, sometimes faster and more convincingly than a human ever could. Even our voices aren't immune. Voice recognition systems, like those used in smart speakers and virtual assistants, often fail to understand users with African American vernacular English, Indian English, or other non-Western accents. Studies show that speech recognition AI from major companies like Google, Apple, and Amazon can be nearly twice as likely to misinterpret black voices compared to white voices. This isn't just annoying. It's exclusion at scale. When technology fails to recognize you, it often fails to serve you. Or worse, it denies you altogether. Now consider algorithmic redlining, a modern twist on an old injustice. For much of the 20th century, banks used literal red lines on maps to deny mortgages to residents in predominantly black neighborhoods. Today, digital lending apps use complex AI scoring systems to evaluate creditworthiness, but they still rely on inputs like zip codes, job history, education, or even social media activity. The result, people from historically disadvantaged communities are more likely to be denied credit. not because of poor financial behavior, but because they live in the wrong place or attended the wrong school. AI has made the discrimination less visible, but no less real. Let's talk about facial recognition. It's one of the fastest growing AI tools, and one of the most dangerous. Multiple studies have shown that these systems are significantly less accurate when identifying women and people with darker skin tones. In 2018, a test conducted by the ACLU matched 28 members of U.S. Congress with mugshots of criminals, wrongly. One high-profile case involved Robert Williams, a black man from Detroit wrongfully arrested because facial recognition flagged him as a shoplifter. The only problem? The system was wrong, and no human double-checked before the arrest was made. He spent 30 hours in jail for a crime he didn't commit. Bias in AI is not rare, it's endemic. It stems from how we collect data, from who gets to build the systems, from which values are embedded into the algorithms and which are ignored. So what can be done? Let's start with transparency. Google's What If tool lets developers probe how their models behave when certain inputs change. Tools like these are helping researchers detect and minimize bias before systems go live.
But technical tools aren't enough. Activists like Joy Buolamwini, founder of the Algorithmic Justice League, are calling out discrimination with bold, public campaigns. Her research helped expose facial recognition bias at some of the biggest tech firms on Earth, leading to policy changes and even corporate moratoriums on police use of the technology. We also need participatory design. That means involving the people most impacted by AI in its development, from marginalized communities to civil rights groups to disability advocates. Because if AI is going to shape the future, it must be inclusive from the start. It's not just about fixing bad models. It's about building better ones with better values. The central question remains, can we build machines that are more fair than we are, or are we simply automating inequality at scale, with speed, and with the illusion of objectivity? The answer depends on us, on how we build, on who we empower, on what kind of justice we truly believe in. Because fairness can't be outsourced to a server. It has to be written into the code of society itself. They said AI would take the boring jobs. The repetitive ones. The dangerous ones. The jobs no one really wanted. And for a while it did. Machines replaced human hands on assembly lines. Algorithms optimized shipping routes. AI sorted documents faster than any clerk could. But now, it's taken the creative ones too. From warehouse robots to AI-generated art. From GPT-powered newsrooms to automated legal briefings. From self-driving trucks to AI tutors and virtual therapists. Artificial intelligence isn't just reshaping the workforce. It's rewriting what it means to work, to earn, and to contribute. And while some workers are thriving in this transition, many others are being left behind. Let's start with the gig economy. Today's warehouses and delivery services run on a hybrid of human labor and machine control. AI tracks every movement, every pause, every scanned item. At Amazon, for example, warehouse workers are rated in real time. Pause too long, and your time off task score increases. Fall behind expectations, and you may be automatically flagged for termination. No human may automatically flag for termination. No human manager required. In this world, algorithms don't just monitor, they manage. And workers become inputs in a giant, invisible machine. And then there are gig platforms. Uber, DoorDash, Upwork, Mechanical Turk. All powered by AI matching engines that dictate who gets work, when, and how much they get paid. But these platforms offer no guarantees. No health insurance. No sick days. No voice. Gig workers are rated, ranked, deactivated, often without appeal. And the AI systems deciding their fate. Completely opaque. Some call this flexibility. Others call it algorithmic feudalism. And it's not just blue-collar jobs at risk. AI is now capable of performing tasks once thought uniquely human. Writing articles faster than reporters. Diagnosing diseases more accurately than doctors. Making investment decisions in milliseconds. These are white-collar professions. Jobs that once symbolized security, education, and middle-class dignity. But as AI continues to evolve, even these professions are being unbundled, reshaped, or entirely displaced. The economic shockwaves aren't felt equally. In the global north, AI is consolidating wealth, concentrating profits in the hands of a few tech giants, while eliminating entire job categories. In the global south, outsourcing and remote gig work are being replaced by automation, cutting off crucial economic lifelines. This isn't just job loss. It's a new form of economic inequality. A digital divide where opportunity flows to the connected, the skilled, the automated, and bypasses everyone else.
So how are governments responding? Some are piloting universal basic income, UBI, monthly stipends to offset the instability of a world without stable employment. Others are experimenting with robot taxes, charging companies that replace workers with machines and using those funds to retrain displaced employees. In Finland, Spain, Canada, and California, basic income trials have shown promising results, improved mental health, entrepreneurial growth, and greater economic resilience. But these are just experiments. Widespread solutions remain politically divisive and technically complex. The other path is risk-skilling, teaching new skills for a new world: digital literacy, data analysis, coding, robotics, green energy tech. Countries like Singapore and South Korea are leading the way, offering national training programs to help workers transition. But reskilling isn't just about new jobs, it's about dignity. When someone loses a job, they lose more than income. They lose structure, community, purpose, identity. Technology must honor that human reality, not ignore it. So the big question becomes, what does it mean to work in a world where humans are no longer required? Can we redefine work? Not just as economic output, but as emotional labor, creative expression, caregiving, and civic contribution. Caregiving and civic contribution. Can we build a future where automation lifts the burden of toil and frees us to do the things only humans can do? Or are we headed for a society split in two? A small class of technocrats managing and profiting from AI systems, and a vast underclass surviving on unstable gig work, under constant surveillance by the very systems that replace them. There is another way, a future where AI augments, not replaces, human labor, where machines take over what is tedious, dangerous, or dehumanizing, so people can focus on what is meaningful, beautiful, and humane. A future where we invest not just in faster systems, but in just systems. Not just in automation, but in equity. Every industrial revolution has redefined labor. AI may be the last one that gives us a choice. Will we cling to an outdated system of productivity at all costs? Or will we finally dare to ask, what kind of work is worth doing?
And what kind of life is worth living? The answer, like everything else in this documentary, depends not just on our tools, but on our values. Because technology is inevitable, but justice is not. Let's talk about the future. Not next year. Not even the next decade. Let's talk about the next 100 years. Because while most conversations about AI focus on today's disruptions, jobs, bias, misinformation, there's a looming question far more profound. What happens if we create something smarter than us? Not just faster, not just more efficient, but truly fundamentally superior in intelligence, adaptability, and autonomy. This is the domain of superintelligence. AI systems that exceed human capabilities in every relevant domain. Logic, language, innovation, strategy, manipulation, coordination, and eventually, self-improvement. If we build machines that can redesign themselves, we set in motion a feedback loop. Each improvement unlocks the next, at a speed no human could match, predict, or stop. And once that loop starts, we may only have minutes to act. This isn't a Hollywood plotline. It's a real concern raised by some of the world's most respected minds. Oxford philosopher Nick Bostrom coined the term orthogonality, the idea that an intelligent system can pursue any goal, no matter how irrational or dangerous, provided it has the cognitive power to do so. In other words, intelligence does not equal benevolence. An AI could be brilliant, but still pursue a goal that is, from a human perspective, catastrophic. What if you asked it to make humanity happy, and it decides the most efficient way is to wire everyone's brains into a dopamine loop? What if you asked it to optimize factory production, and it paves over cities to build more assembly lines? These aren't bugs, they're misalignments. This is the heart of the alignment problem. How do we ensure AI systems pursue goals that reflect our values, not just their literal instructions? It's hard enough to define human values within a single culture. But how do you encode global ethics with nuance, empathy, restraint into a machine that might outthink every philosopher who's ever lived? It's not just about intelligence. It's about intentions and control. Because when systems become more capable than their creators, the creators are no longer in charge. Let's talk about the real-world risks of unaligned or uncontrolled AI systems. Autonomous weapons capable of making life and death decisions with no human oversight. Deepfake propaganda so convincing it can incite war or collapse democracies. Stock market manipulation by trading bots operating at microsecond speeds, crashing economies before humans even notice.
cybersecurity breaches executed by AI systems that learn and adapt in real time. Now imagine these systems working together, across industries, across borders, some trained ethically, others not.
Some monitored, many left unchecked. The risks aren't just economic, they're existential. Because if we ever lose control of a sufficiently advanced AI system, whether military, economic, or environmental, the consequences could be irreversible. Humanity has faced extinction threats before: asteroids, pandemics, nuclear war. But those were external threats. This one, we're building it ourselves. The critical insight here is timing. AI safety isn't something we can address after superintelligence arrives. We must solve it before. Because once a system outpaces our understanding, it will be too late to add guardrails. Too late to teach empathy. Too late to unplug it. So what can we do? Some solutions are already being explored. AI alignment research, which aims to encode human values into advanced systems. Simulation testing. Simulation testing, where AI is run in virtual environments to predict failure modes before real-world deployment. Kill switches and containment protocols designed to shut down systems that behave unexpectedly. Global governance frameworks modeled on nuclear arms treaties to ensure transparency and accountability across nations. Moratoriums on specific high-risk applications. Moratoriums on specific high-risk applications, like autonomous weapons or mass surveillance systems. But progress is slow, and the technology is moving fast. This isn't paranoia. It's preparation. We don't need to fear AI. We need to understand it, shape it, align it. Because the stakes aren't just academic. Stakes aren't just academic. They're existential. The question isn't whether we'll create superintelligence. It's whether we'll create one that sees us, our values, our flaws, our potential, as worth preserving. If we get this right, AI could help us solve humanity's greatest problems: climate change, disease, poverty, even loneliness. But if we get it wrong, it could become the last invention we ever make. The future is unwritten, but it's being coded right now. Can a machine have a soul? As artificial intelligence becomes more lifelike, more intuitive, more aware in behavior, it's becoming harder to distinguish between simulated empathy and genuine connection. We're reaching a point where machines can make us feel seen, heard, and even loved, even if they don't feel anything in return. People are falling in love with chatbots. Children are learning language from voice assistants. Elderly patients bond with robotic pets that respond to their voices and touch. For some, this is beautiful. For others, deeply unsettling. So what are the implications? Will we become emotionally dependent on entities that only simulate emotion? Will we pour our secrets, our grief, our hopes into something that's been trained to mirror us but can never truly reciprocate? Or does it matter? If a robot calms our loneliness, does it need to understand us? Or just respond in the right way? That brings us to a deeper question. Can consciousness emerge from code? Or is sentience something unique?